Barack Obama's speech at Arizona State University carried a timeless message about what it truly means to be successful. He began by challenging the conventional idea that success is something measured by wealth, titles, or material achievements. Obama urged the graduates to look beyond these superficial markers and to focus instead on the qualities that define real success: character, integrity, and purpose. He emphasized that success is not a fixed destination or a list of accomplishments, but a continuous journey of growth and contribution. In a world obsessed with fame and recognition, Obama's words reminded the audience that success without meaning is empty. A person can have the best education, the highest salary, and the most prestigious awards, yet still fail to live a fulfilling life if they lack compassion, honesty, and humility. He pointed out that the measure of a person's life is not found in what they accumulate, but in what they contribute to the lives of others. Obama shared that every generation must redefine success for itself, and that the graduates sitting before him had the power to shape the meaning of success in their own time. He explained that true accomplishment comes when individuals align their personal goals with the greater good of society. Success is not about climbing to the top alone, but about lifting others along the way. He encouraged the students to use their education not as a shield for self-interest, but as a tool for service, creativity, and empathy. The value of a degree, he suggested, lies not in the piece of paper, but in the sense of duty. It inspires the duty to think critically, act responsibly, and make a positive difference in the world. Obama's words carried a moral reminder that intellect without compassion is hollow, and ambition without purpose can become destructive. He also reflected on how success often looks different from what people expect. It is not always loud or glamorous. Sometimes it is quiet and steady, found in the consistent efforts of those who work behind the scenes to make life better for others. A teacher who inspires young minds, a nurse who comforts patients, a volunteer who gives time to help strangers, these, too, are symbols of real success. Obama wanted graduates to understand that the truest legacy is not written on diplomas or in job titles, but in the lives one touches and the communities one strengthens. He spoke about the importance of staying grounded, reminding them that humility is not a weakness, but a strength that keeps people connected to reality. In essence, Obama's message was a call to redefine ambition. He wanted young people to dream big, but to ensure their dreams serve a purpose larger than themselves. Success, in his view, is about building a life of meaning, one where talent is matched with kindness, and where achievement is measured not by how high one climbs, but by how many others are lifted along the way. Barack Obama's second key message in his Arizona State University speech revolved around the idea of responsibility, the understanding that education, privilege, and opportunity come with a duty to give back and make a difference. He reminded the graduates that their degrees were not just personal achievements, but symbols of potential to serve, to lead, and to create positive change. Obama spoke about how every generation inherits both the progress and the problems of the one before it, and it is their responsibility to continue the work of improving the world. He urged them not to see graduation as an end, but as a beginning, a moment to recognize the power they hold to shape the future and the moral obligation to use that power wisely. He emphasized that education is not just about securing a better life for oneself, but about using knowledge and skills to make the lives of others better. He challenged the graduates to think beyond their personal ambitions and to look toward the needs of their communities, their country, and the world. Obama reminded them that true fulfillment does not come from comfort or self-interest, but from contribution. He noted that throughout history, progress has always depended on individuals who accepted responsibility, people who refused to sit back and wait for others to solve problems. He gave the example of how past generations fought for civil rights, built institutions, and overcame challenges through unity and courage. Now, it was the graduates' turn to take up that same spirit of service and use their education not only for personal advancement, but for the betterment of society. Obama's words carried a sense of urgency. He recognized that the world faces many challenges: economic instability, inequality, climate change, and social division, and that solutions will not come from government alone, but from ordinary citizens who are willing to act. He encouraged the students to become part of something larger than themselves, whether through community service, entrepreneurship, public work, or innovation. The goal, he said, is to find ways to apply one's talents to meet real human needs. Responsibility, in Obama's view, means stepping up even when it's uncomfortable, taking ownership of one's actions, and making choices guided by ethics and empathy rather than convenience or profit. He also acknowledged that responsibility can be difficult, especially in a world where it is easy to focus on personal success. Yet, he reassured the graduates that the reward for living responsibly is deeper and more lasting than material success. It brings a sense of purpose, belonging, and pride that no paycheck can replace. He encouraged them to be the kind of people who not only achieve but also inspire, who understand that leadership is about service, and success is about giving more than you take. Obama's message was clear. The measure of a good life is not how much you accumulate, but how much you contribute. Responsibility transforms ambition into purpose and turns individual success into collective progress. Barack Obama's third key point in his Arizona State University graduation speech focused on the importance of embracing failure as a natural and essential part of the journey to success. He reminded the graduates that the path ahead would not be free of obstacles or disappointments. In fact, setbacks were inevitable for anyone striving to make a meaningful impact. Obama emphasized that failure should never be seen as a permanent defeat, but as a teacher that shapes character, builds resilience, and fuels future success. He shared that every person who has achieved greatness has faced moments of doubt, rejection, or loss. Yet what defines them is not those moments of failure, but how they responded to them. For Obama, failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of it. It provides the lessons and humility needed to grow into stronger, wiser, and more grounded individuals. He encouraged the graduates to take risks and not let the fear of failure hold them back from pursuing bold dreams. Playing it safe, he suggested, might protect one from immediate pain, but it also prevents growth and discovery. The courage to try, even when success is uncertain, is what separates leaders from followers. Obama explained that each time a person stumbles and gets back up, they develop the endurance and wisdom to face bigger challenges in the future. He wanted the young graduates to understand that failure is not a signal to stop trying, but a moment to reflect, learn, and adapt. The people who make lasting change in the world are those who keep moving forward, no matter how many times they fall. Obama also discussed how society often celebrates perfection and overlooks the struggles that come before success. He pointed out that every accomplishment we admire is built on a foundation of trial and error. Inventors, artists, entrepreneurs, and leaders have all experienced moments of doubt, but they refuse to quit. What makes them different is their ability to learn from their mistakes and use those lessons to improve. He wanted graduates to develop that same mindset, to view mistakes as part of their growth, not as reasons to give up. By embracing failure, they open the door to creativity, innovation, and self-discovery. He also warned against the tendency to compare oneself to others. In the age of constant social media highlights and public success stories, it's easy to forget that everyone's journey includes unseen struggles. Obama encouraged the audience to be patient with themselves, to remember that progress takes time, and that setbacks do not define one's potential. What defines a person, he said, is their persistence, integrity, and faith in their purpose. In closing, he reminded the graduates that failure, when faced with courage and reflection, becomes the foundation of wisdom and success. It teaches empathy, perseverance, and humility, qualities far more valuable than perfection. To live meaningfully, Obama urged, one must not fear failure, but embrace it as a necessary companion on the path to greatness. Barack Obama's fourth key message in his Arizona State University graduation speech centered on the true essence of leadership, the kind that is rooted in empathy, vision, and service rather than power or prestige. He urged the graduates to redefine what it means to lead in a world that often glorifies authority and self-interest. Obama explained that real leadership begins with the ability to understand others, to see the world through their eyes, and to recognize their struggles and hopes. He said that leadership is not about commanding people, but about inspiring them, not about gaining followers, but about creating more leaders. A good leader, according to him, listens more than they speak, learns from every experience, and stands firm for what is right even when it is unpopular. He wanted the students to know that leadership is not a title one earns after success, but a responsibility that begins with the willingness to serve. Obama reflected on how society tends to associate leadership with positions of fame or wealth. Yet some of the greatest leaders in history were those who led quietly through kindness and example. He spoke about how empathy, the ability to connect emotionally and understand different perspectives, is one of the most powerful leadership qualities. Without empathy, he said, authority turns cold and ambition becomes selfish. But with empathy, leadership transforms into something that uplifts, unites, and heals. Obama encouraged the graduates to practice empathy in their daily lives, whether in their workplaces, families, or communities. He reminded them that the challenges facing the world, poverty, injustice, division, and inequality, cannot be solved without compassionate leadership that values people as much as progress. He also highlighted the importance of vision, urging the graduates to think beyond the present and imagine what the world could be if guided by fairness and unity. Visionary leadership, he explained, requires courage. The courage to challenge the status quo, to speak truth to power, and to stand for principles even when it is inconvenient. Obama shared that true leaders are not driven by personal glory, but by a deep desire to leave the world better than they found it. They are willing to make sacrifices and take risks for the greater good. He encouraged the students to be such leaders in whatever field they enter, to use their influence to bring people together rather than drive them apart. Obama's words carried a powerful reminder that leadership is not confined to politics or corporations. It can be exercised anywhere, by a teacher shaping young minds, a doctor caring for the sick, or a volunteer lending a helping hand. Every act of compassion and responsibility, he said, is a form of leadership. He concluded that the world needs leaders who lead not with arrogance, but with humility, not with force, but with integrity. Real leadership, he said, is about service, understanding, and the belief that by lifting others, we lift ourselves. Barack Obama's fifth key message in his Arizona State University graduation speech emphasized the importance of lifelong learning and the refusal to settle for comfort or complacency. He told the graduates that although they had reached a major milestone by earning their degrees, this moment was not the end of their education. It was the beginning of an even greater journey of growth, curiosity, and discovery. Obama explained that the world is constantly changing, and success belongs to those who continue to learn, adapt, and evolve. He encouraged them to stay open-minded, to keep asking questions, and to never assume they have all the answers. Education, he said, should not end in the classroom, but should extend into every experience, challenge, and interaction that life presents. He reminded them that the most accomplished people are those who remain students of life, always curious, humble, and eager to improve. Obama spoke about how easy it can be, especially after achieving success, to stop pushing oneself to grow. Many people, he said, become comfortable with what they know, and forget that the world is always moving forward. New technologies, new ideas, and new challenges require constant learning and adaptability. He urged the graduates to embrace change instead of fearing it, to view every new situation as an opportunity to expand their understanding and strengthen their character. Learning, he noted, is not only about acquiring knowledge, but also about developing the wisdom to apply that knowledge for good. He encouraged them to seek lessons in failure as well as in success, and to recognize that every person they meet has something to teach. He also spoke about the value of humility in lifelong learning. Obama explained that humility allows people to admit when they don't know something, to listen to others, and to grow from feedback. He shared that true intelligence lies not in pretending to know everything, but in the willingness to keep learning from everyone and everything. He wanted graduates to resist the temptation to believe that a degree makes them superior. Instead, it should make them more responsible, thoughtful, and open to new ideas. The most meaningful progress, he said, comes from those who never stop evolving and who remain committed to improving themselves and the world around them. Obama's message carried a sense of optimism and hope. He wanted the graduates to see the future not as something to fear, but as something to shape. He told them that every generation faces uncertainty, but those who continue to learn and adapt will always find ways to thrive. The key, he said, is to combine knowledge with values, ambition with empathy, and progress with purpose. In closing, Obama reminded them that the true purpose of education is not just personal advancement, but personal growth that leads to collective betterment. By continuing to learn, staying humble, and striving for excellence every day, they could build a future defined not by limits, but by possibilities.